I'm Mollie Chapman, business journalist for CasinoBeats and CasinoBeats, and I'm joined today by Mulvaney, Chief Business Development Officer of Blue Guru Games. How are you doing today?
Very, very well. Just came fresh out of one of the panels here. So it's been a great day. Yesterday was here all day as well, so it's been very, very interesting so far.
Do you have any highlights so far of the event?
The panels themselves have been really good.
Yeah.
Yesterday was at about 2 or 3 of those, especially the Future of Casinos one.
Yeah.
The range of speakers which have been here have been absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
It was great listening to a lot of what they had to say.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, it's the networking. It's why we're here. It's just to meet people, just kind of build on old relationships and build new ones as we go along.
Why do you think, generally speaking, it's important for people to come to events like this?
I think especially after the last 2 years, right, where we've had a big vacuum of events.
Yeah.
And this industry is built on these events.
Of course.
So I think when they started off last year, end of last year, is when they kicked off again, a lot of it started just, of course, the business is still happening, the business is still ongoing, the industry has been growing. It's just to get those face-to-face interactions back again, build on those, again, going back to those relationships. This industry, in my opinion, has been built on relationships, and it's an extremely important factor of it.
Yeah.
Plus, I mean, you know, we get to have a few drinks with friends once again.
So you mentioned the panels. Have you had a favorite one so far, or is there one that you're particularly looking forward to?
So there's the streamer panel, which is happening later on today, which I'm extremely interested to see, especially from our end, you know, having a look at how streamers interact with slots. And so on. And yesterday there was the Future of Casinos, which I found extremely interesting.
Yeah.
A very good debate between crypto and regulated markets, which is going on. And again, the speakers there were top-notch on the industry side.
So having spoken at the Through Game Changers, Aggregators and Platforms panel today, straight out of it, could you tell me about any highlights from that talk and maybe anything that you might have learned from it as well?
Oh, you're always learning, right? So just today when we were talking, the parallels between certain things that a platform or player account management system has, and what we refer to as our own Live, which is an RGS, remote gaming server, of how you choose both of them. There's parallels there which, you know, although extremely obvious, right? In hindsight, you just kind of go, oh, yeah, that is true. And again, that the conversation that we're having about quality versus quantity is ongoing within the industry, and it's good to kind of see it that a lot of people are seeing that there might be a shift back onto quality. Yeah. So it was an extremely interesting panel with a very big range of speakers who come from the B2B side and B2C side, which hopefully everybody enjoyed and took something from it. At least I did.
Well, that's most important.
Exactly.
It's said in the industry that Malta is sort of like the hub of iGaming, and obviously Blue Guru is based in Malta. So I was wondering, why do you think it's such an important region within the iGaming ecosystem? I think
it's a historical thing, right? When we had the licensing system here, which was the MGA, back then it was called the LGA, started everything. Malta just immediately, having had that licensing, immediately became extremely attractive to most of the operators' business there. I think good 15 years ago, 16 years ago was when Expect kicked off over here, and it was one of the first operators to establish. Then of course we saw a flourishing of operators and suppliers based in Malta. I think it was mainly due to the fact, you know, there's English speaking. Everybody is, you know, well educated. So you get access to employee selection, which is extremely useful for what you're doing. There is, of course, the weather. You know, we are blessed with having weather which is not as bad as other places, let's put it this way, and less grey than other places. Yes. And of course, back then it's the way of life was extremely relaxed. Nowadays, things have changed a bit. We're seeing it more and more. There are people who are bringing up complaints, rents are higher, you know, it's getting harder and harder to find people. Of course, now we have a lot of qualified people, a lot of important people within the industry who are based in Malta. So it will be interesting to see how the next few years will evolve. Even regulations, you know, on the MGA, is it as effective as it used to be? So there's a few questions there which we'll need to see how they'll be answered in the next few years, I would say, to see how that evolves.
Speaking of markets within iGaming, are there any markets that Blue Guru is sort of looking at maybe entering in the near future?
Absolutely. So we build games on the Oryx RGS, the Blue Horn program, and the Relax Silver Bullet. So in some cases, we are of course tied with their jurisdictions, and luckily enough, they're going into pretty much most of the regulated markets, which is great for us. Ontario being one of them. It's been a highlight of discussions here and other conferences, and I can see why. It's a big market, and it's going to be interesting to see. You know, it's one of the first markets that will have European operators versus the North American operators vying for the same player base. So it's never happened before, so I think that would be interesting to see. Then, of course, there's North America in general. We should be in the markets this year with our content, so that is what we're pushing for. And that, for us, I think will be an extremely important market within the next coming years. We've seen how the games have developed. We've seen how, you know, it is the largest market for some of the biggest suppliers out there now as well. So we hope to be able to get in there and be able to show the North American players our content as well.
Sounds exciting. And speaking of the future, what can your players look forward to seeing from you for the next year ahead?
Yeah, so games, quality games, content that they're gonna love playing. We have a game being released today as we speak. We have another game being released in June. So we have a game pretty much being released every month now.
Nice.
And of course we plan the same thing for next year, and of course plus games for the North American market. But that's what we want to give players. We want to give players quality content, which they will enjoy, narrative-driven content as well. So rather than just playing a game, we hope you can take something back from the game, which is something you didn't know, something else that you can take back from yourself and just get something else from the slot as well.
Your first title launched in April, I believe. I was wondering what feedback you've had so far.
The feedback has been extremely positive, especially on the games coming forward. Games are just going to get better and better. That is, it's one of the things we strive for. Funny enough, we were talking about margin squeezes and how we can continue striving to get content out there which is still quality that players want to play, and that's will continue with time, because every game you get feedback back, you get data back which you can use, you can bring back into the market, bring back in front of your players, and that's what we need to continue doing and just pushing forward and forward.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thank you so much for your time today. It's been a pleasure speaking to you.
Same here. Thank you very much for your time as well.
Thank you.